Welcome to Unmasking Project 2025, the podcast where we take a hard look at the plan that could fundamentally reshape American democracy before most voters even know what it is. I'm Derek, your host, and today in our very first episode, we're asking a critical question: who wants to rule, and how do they plan to do it? With me is someone who spent the last year buried in the footnotes, legal frameworks, and political architecture of Project 2025. He's the author of the book, The Project 2025 Survival Guide, a detailed and unflinching breakdown of the entire blueprint. Randy Allen Walker, welcome.
Thanks, Derek. It's good to be here, and honestly, it's good that we're having this conversation. Because if we don't talk about this now, a lot of people are going to wake up too late.
Let's start at the top. We've both seen political platforms, party manifestos, legislative agendas. But Project 2025 feels different. You describe it in the book not as a document, but as a manual for power. Can you explain?
Absolutely. So Project 2025 is technically titled Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. It's published by the Heritage Foundation, and it's about 920 pages long. But this isn't a vision statement. It's a set of detailed instructions for the next Republican administration, specifically one aligned with hard-right, executive-dominant ideology. And the key here is that it's operational. It doesn't just say what the government should do, it lays out how to do it. Who to fire, who to hire, what to cut, what to rewrite, and most importantly, how to do it quickly, using executive authority.
It reads almost like a corporate takeover strategy.
That's exactly what it is. It treats the federal government as a broken company that needs to be restructured from the top down, and the president is the CEO. Except this isn't a boardroom. This is the foundation of democratic governance.
You mentioned the Heritage Foundation. That name pops up a lot. For listeners who aren't familiar, who are they really?
The Heritage Foundation has been around since 1973. It started as a conservative think tank during the Reagan era, and it became famous for producing bullet point-style policy papers that Republican politicians could use on the campaign trail. Over the decades, it became the intellectual engine of the American right. But in recent years, Heritage has moved sharply toward more ideological territory. They're no longer just offering ideas. They're building political infrastructure. Project 2025 is the culmination of that evolution. It's a sign they no longer want to influence power. They want to operate it.
One thing that really struck me in the guide was this phrase, Day One Strategy. What does that mean in practice?
It's exactly what it sounds like. The people behind Project 2025 want to be ready to act on the first day of a new administration. Not month one, not year one, day one. They've drafted dozens of executive orders in advance. They've created a personnel database with 50,000 pre-vetted conservatives, many of whom would bypass the normal civil service process. They're trying to avoid the staffing chaos we saw in 2016. This time, they want to hit the ground running, with loyalists already in place.
That brings us to something you emphasize a lot in the book, the shift from professional bureaucracy to an ideological one.
Yes. Historically, the U.S. federal workforce is made up of career civil servants who are meant to be neutral, engineers at NASA, analysts at the CDC, auditors at the IRS. Project 2025 frames these people as part of the deep state, a term that's used to justify purging them and replacing them with political appointees. It's not just about cutting jobs. It's about redefining the purpose of government work. You're not there to serve the Constitution. You're there to serve an agenda.
This feels like a massive departure from how things are supposed to work in a constitutional democracy.
Because it is. It's a full inversion of the post-Watergate consensus that we need guardrails around presidential power. What Project 2025 is proposing, especially through the use of the unitary executive theory, is that those guardrails are unnecessary, even dangerous. They believe the president should have total command over the executive branch, with minimal interference from Congress or the courts.
Let's pause here. Who are the architect behind this? You've mentioned Heritage, but there are names attached to this document, real people, some of them with past experience in government.
That's right. You've got Paul Dawn, a former chief of staff at the Office of Personnel Management, now the director of the 2025 Transition Project. Russ Vaught, who ran the Office of Management and Budget under Trump and is deeply tied to Christian nationalist legal theory. Ken Cuccinelli, immigration hardliner. Roger Severino, an architect of anti-LGBTQ policy during his time at HHS. These aren't marginal figures. They've already been in government. They know how the machine works and how to redirect it.
That's what makes this so chilling. It's not speculative. These people already know the levers of power.
Exactly. That's the difference between a manifesto and a blueprint. A manifesto is what you want. A blueprint is how you get it.
Let's bring it back to the average listener. You're a parent, a small business owner, a teacher, a student. What does this actually mean for you?
It means that agencies like the Department of Education might be eliminated. It means LGBTQ+ protections could be rolled back by executive fiat. It means your access to healthcare, voting rights, environmental protections, all of that could change in a matter of weeks. Not through debate, not through Congress, through administrative muscle.
And it's all technically legal?
That's the genius and the danger of the plan. It uses legal mechanisms to achieve anti-democratic outcomes. They're not proposing a coup in the traditional sense. They're proposing a procedural takeover dressed in the language of legitimacy.
So if you're not paying attention, it just looks like a new administration doing its job.
That's the risk. If you're not informed, if you're not reading the details, you might not even notice until it's too late. And by then, the institutional changes may be irreversible.
Before we wrap up, what would you say to someone listening who's just now hearing about Project 2025?
First, don't panic, but don't dismiss it. Read, share, ask questions. This isn't some online rumor. This is a coordinated, well-funded, legally strategic movement that has real momentum. But awareness is the first form of resistance.
Randy, thank you. This was a masterclass.
Appreciate it. And thanks for doing this show. It's exactly what we need right now.
That's it for episode 1 of Unmasking Project 2025. In our next episode, we're going to look at how this blueprint impacts civil rights, education, and the cultural fabric of America, from classrooms to courtrooms. Until then, read carefully, ask boldly, and never surrender your attention.